Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Revenue Agency Podcast. My name is Brittany Hall, and I am joined by my husband and partner in crime, Ryan Hall. Hey,
Hello,
Ryan.
friends.
Hello, friends. Yeah. So we have a great topic for you today. And it's funny, we really try to keep what we talk about like relevant with what we're actually experiencing in our business. We don't like to deal in theory. We like to deal in like real life situations, real business situations. And so today we're going to talk about the ego trap. And really, I feel like, don't you feel like everybody comes to us, right, because they want to grow? And here's another thing I want to say about growth is people are like, "Oh, I want to grow." Do you want to like that's just like a fluffy word to say I want to make more money. Like people need to stop like trying to put fluffy words around just be like I want to make more money. That's what I'm trying to do. Why the hell else would you go work for yourself if you weren't trying to make more money and have more freedom?
Yeah, when you said when you were talking about that, I was smirking because people say, "I want to grow, I want to scale, I want to." I mean, there's a lot of buzzwords people use, but like you said, they want to make more money. Which, hey,
Yeah.
great. Like, there's
Yeah.
that's not a problem. But also, and we'll get into this in this topic. It's easy to say I want to grow. A really I love using analogies, and a simple analogy is saying I got to get in shape.
Yeah.
But in the
Easier
meantime,
said than done.
you're not getting your butt to the gym and lifting heavy and running fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
It's the same thing in
And
business.
yeah, and I think that it's funny, the older I get, the more I feel like I'm getting to know myself like on an authentic level more and more. And I get really annoyed at all the like talking around things. It's like, just fucking say what you mean because it's such a waste of time. And I was having a conversation with somebody the other day and I go, well, but what does that mean? And like, here's the thing. I know that I'm an intelligent person. I know I'm smart. I know my stuff. But it's like people want to appear smarter than they really are. It's like, it's just, once again, it's all led from this ego point of view. And it's like, we're all humans. Some people make a lot of money. Some people don't make a lot of money. Some people are very educated. Some people didn't make it out of high school. Like, we're all just humans walking this earth trying to create the life that we desire. And then people get into this thing where they're like, oh, I need to talk like this and speak like that. And it's like, nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about. Just like say normal words and say what you mean. It's like all this bullshit game playing. See, this is why I was terrible at dating. Because it's like, I don't like, do you like me or do you not like me? Like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know what I mean? It's just
I
very
do.
weird.
I actually do know what you mean firsthand.
Yes, you
I
do.
want you to explain what you mean by ego because I think ego
Yeah.
gets confused. So just give a
Yeah.
brief this what you mean when you say your ego. Because
Yeah.
people might
So,
think like, oh, what do you mean? Like I'm
like,
confident
arrogant.
or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think people misuse this term all the time because people will say, "Oh, they're egotistical," but it's like what you really mean. This is what Ryan always says: is words matter. What you really mean is maybe they're arrogant, right? Or so what I mean by ego is really it's the ego is your subconscious mind and it wants to keep you safe. And so in a business sense, sometimes I find I've met some women like this. It's happened. Men struggle, I feel like, with their ego so much because they want to be in charge. They want to be the most powerful. They want to be the one who knows everything. And if they don't, their ego gets attacked, right? And then they feel like they don't have control, which really is like a need for safety in a way and survival. And so then they think that if they don't know it all and they're not in charge, then it's almost in this weird subconscious way equals death and equals failure. So your ego is really to keep you safe.
And
But
I want to
when,
add, hold on, I
yeah,
want to add in there at this point. Our ego doesn't know the difference between a lion jumping out of a tree and running after us and attacking us, or us
like someone telling you you're wrong.
speaking in front of a crowd of 100 people.
Yeah.
It doesn't differentiate between like it's a big threat or it's a little threat. It's just it's a threat. It's unsafe. Don't do it. You're scared. That's why like if you're out in the woods, I don't know if anybody goes out in the woods anymore, but if you're out in the woods, you get this like this the hair on the back of your neck stands up. You're like like there's something here. It's the same thing when you go up, like before you're going to go on stage, if you're afraid of speaking in front of people and like your hands are sweaty, it's your body's reaction to this is dangerous.
It feels, yeah, like a physical, like it's a threat. And so when we can understand our ego and understand when it flares up, what that means, and like talking our nervous system through it and understanding that. But what I find in business is that there's a real lack of like consciousness and awareness in people, and not everybody, and everybody's on their journey. Like even me, like I'll tell Ryan like, man, that's just, that I don't know if that's my ego or like what's going on, so I got to take time to think about it, like when I get really reactive to stuff or something like really pisses me off. But when like you're in business and you feel like you have to be right all the time and you have to be the one leading and everything has to come from you, that's a very ego driven place. And it's, or here's the other side of it, is that all the success came from you, not your team, not others ideas and collaboration. But when it's all you and the team, when you say your team, literally they're just these no name people under you that we know actually are probably doing a lot of things to make all of this happen. But you'll see people when they're like, oh, thanks to, my team or whatever. And then they say thanks because they want everybody to see, look at this big team that I have. And it's all for this, self like importance that you have a big team, instead of saying, hey, you guys, you know what? I'd be nothing without these people. I could never do this on my own. I have some ideas, but these people really make this thing crank. And I think that is such a more like beautiful place to lead. But one is led by ego. Like it's all me. These people just work for me and they do what I tell them. That's ego. Or we collaborate and work together as a team, and the results are from all of us working together, not just from me. So that's kind of, I think, and we'll always have an ego, but I think there's healthy ego and there's unhealthy ego. And so ego's not bad, but it definitely can not be helpful if it's in an unhealthy state and it's running the show. We'll always have the ego, but like I said, you just don't want to let it run the show.
Well, and you said it's your subconscious mind that's your
Hmm.
ego.
So it's reactive.
So your conscious mind, you can decide if something is dangerous or not, right? I'll use
Yeah.
this, I'll stick to the same analogy. If you're going up on stage, that's when Brittany said you could kind of talk yourself through it. It's like, this isn't dangerous. This is scary, but it's not dangerous. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to do great or I'm going to do bad. But either way, I'm going to walk off that stage and it's going to be fine. So
Totally.
that's where your conscious mind kicks in and you can actually decide, you know what, I'm going to push through this anyway because I know on the other side of it, I'm going to be better, I'm going to be stronger, and I'm going to gain a skill that I didn't have before. And that's
Yeah.
speaking, it's anything that you want, right? Like it's business, it's anything.
Yeah. It's maybe following up with somebody and you're scared because you're like, your subconscious can throw a total fit and go, well, what if they think this about you? And what if they think that? And what if they get mad at you? And what if they tell you to fuck off, or like whatever? What if they do? So that's when your conscious mind can come in and go, but what if they do? Am I going to die? Am I going to go broke? Is my business going to go out of business? Am I like, is my whole life going to end? No. But when your subconscious, your ego, whatever, flares up like that, your nervous system goes, ooh,
Well, it's
into
a physical
overdrive.
reaction.
Yeah. And so, but here's what's so cool is that it doesn't have to be like that for forever. Is you get uncomfortable, right? You go to the edge of your comfort zone, you push on the edge of it and you get really uncomfortable and then you do the thing. And then you do it again and you do it again and you do it again, like any new skill. And then what happens is your nervous system starts to recognize it and realize it's not a threat. And okay, we've done this before. We have feedback. We've gotten results from this. It's okay. And then it's just that's how you build new skills. And then what's cool is your comfort zone. Maybe it was here and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so all these things that you were really uncomfortable at one point, now they're like not that big of a deal because you've been doing them repetitively. And that's how we grow. So I think that's a great way. Did you want to add anything to that, Rye?
I don't think so. I think when you come into a situation that makes you nervous or your body does have a physical reaction because your ego's kicking in and you're going, this is dangerous. I don't like this. Run it
Yeah.
through a checklist. Brittany used follow up for as an example. Chances are you probably do need to follow up the second or third or fourth or seventh time with that person, but make
Yeah.
sure it's genuine. Make sure it's not icky because I mean it could be, but just run it through a checklist of whatever the situation is. No,
Yeah.
it's not dangerous. Yes, I should be doing this. Yes, they told me they wanted to do business with me, but then I haven't been able to get a hold. You know what I mean? Whatever the
Yeah.
situation is, come up
Yeah.
with a checklist to where you can calm your nerves because that's all it is, and push through.
Yeah, I love that. All right, well, let's get into some actual like business with this. So, we have a couple just talking points we're going to hit today. And so, really, today we want to hit on the topic like we've already been discussing about the ego, but really like the ego trap and how it pertains to business and why some businesses never scale. So, the first thing we really want to hit with today is control versus growth. And you can't have both together. And it's interesting. I had a situation this last week with some people who reached out, they were referred over, and I was positioned to them as an expert in growth, revenue generating, branding, marketing, sales. That's what I do for people, right? Like, yes, our company does a lot of things, but that is really the magic in what we do is the relationship between branding, marketing, and sales. And that's how we help people make more money. So I had a great discussion. These people were awesome. We were like so on the same page. And through this process, they had disclosed to me that they have been working towards their vision and this goal for years, years. And I said, great. So are you making any money? No, we need to make money. Okay, great. I know exactly what to do. And I explained it and they were totally on board. I sent them over a proposal. They come back at me with a counter proposal, which I was like, well, that's not how we do things. But sure, I'll look at it, you know. And going back to the ego, I had to check my ego because my ego for sure flared up. Like, motherfucker, like who like you're not making any money. Like who do you think you're talking to? You came to me because you aren't growing, right? So that's my ego, like flaring up and going, who the fuck, you know? But then I had to check myself, right? And I was like, is this my ego? Like, why am I so pissed off? Like, ooh, what's going on? And then it was interesting about it in this proposal. I think what stood out to me the absolute most over what they said their strategy was going to be, over all the things. They said, we'll set the strategy and you'll execute it. And I thought, wow, it's really not very smart because if you knew the strategy, what the fuck have you been doing the last 5 years? And that doesn't need to be an attack. Now, that would for sure attack somebody's ego if it was like fragile or even just, you know, somewhat unhealthy, right? Like, and how I would get that point across probably matters too. If I said it with my ego or if I was saying it out of curiosity, there's definitely a way to say things. But that was really what I thought. And sometimes those questions we have to even ask ourselves that as we're growing our business. If I knew what to do, why am I not doing it? And could I maybe not know? Do I maybe not actually know how to do it? And that is when, if you'll know you have a healthy ego, if you actually go, I'm okay with not knowing the answer. I want to grow. I want to know the answer, but I'm willing to not know. Like I tell people all the time, I'm like, I don't know, but I'll go find the answer. I'm okay with not knowing. It's like I have a coach that I'm working with, and she's like, no matter what, be certain. Even if you don't know, be absolutely certain that you don't know. You know, so like operate with complete certainty. And it was just really interesting to me. And so I see people who go, we need help. We need to hire an expert. We need somebody to come in. But it's led from, oh, we have this big team and we're adding another person and they're this and they're that, but we're doing it. It's like, you don't know what you're doing. And so you're wasting money if you're going after experts and you're hiring them because experts don't come cheap, right? What's the generalists, right? They're specialists and they're generalists. I'm a specialist. Generalists are much cheaper, right? So I don't know why you would go hire somebody and then say, oh, no, no, no. I know what to do. So you just do what I tell you to do. Also, why the hell would I put my name on somebody else's shit? If it's not working, and then what? Then they're like, oh, yeah, we worked at this company for a year and we're still at the same place. I know, you know? So, right, I'm kind of curious because I'm very much on the front end of stuff and you're very much in the operations of a daily business. So I'm just curious, like what you see from different situations, stuff that when somebody has to have complete control in a business, it doesn't go well.
Well, so we deal with owners firsthand, right? Like those are our clients, are the owners. And so I think it's challenging. What my experience is, it's challenging for an owner to say, I don't know, because the people we work with are successful, right? They have a certain level of success to where they're at a point, they have some money to spend on things to grow bigger. That's what people come to us for. And so they've gotten to a certain level and they've gotten there by knowing things. Well, they eventually get to a point where they don't know things. And that's, I think, scary to them. I think that ego kicks in where they're like, uh, if I say I don't know this and this person knows this, I think they almost think of it as a weakness. And I
Yeah.
could see myself doing that also because, Brittany and I have talked about the disc profile. We're both dominant personalities, D personalities. And so to not know something could be a weakness, but it's actually a strength to admit, you know what? I'm not the expert in this. I'm the expert in A. I'm not the expert in B. I'm going to find the expert in B. And that doesn't make me weak to say that I don't know this. It actually makes me stronger because I have A and they have B. And together, we can move forward so much better. And so I think that's probably where they come from is they're just, it's scary and it's ego driven. Um,
Yeah. But what does that do in a company when
but
somebody
what
has to say,
that
no, I
does,
have to?
what that does in a company is it stagnates your growth. It completely stops you because you can only get to a certain point and then you go, well, I only know how to count to I only know how to count to 20. But I want to go to 30. It's like, well, you don't know how to get from 20 to 30. We do. And it's okay that you don't. We're the specialist in doing that.
Yeah.
So what it does is it
Mhm.
completely halts any growth whatsoever. And then it leads to frustration. And then it just kind of snowballs. Like, then you're mad. Then you're like, well, this person isn't doing anything. It's like, well, you didn't, what you hired them for isn't what you need them to do next.
Or
They've
you
got you
won't
to where you
allow them
are.
to do it. Like, think about past situations, right? Jobs that you've worked in.
Hmm.
Or the other thing is if you're the owner, but you are so afraid to delegate to somebody, or you won't hire somebody because you think that they might overshadow you, or they might be like shiny and you're not, and like now you're not the guy. Here's the other thing I've seen is these owners, they just run, 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 run. They have no quality of life because they're so busy doing everything that they could easily hire somebody else to do, but they're not doing it. I mean, we've talked about this even in our business. Here's the thing is like Ryan and I have really learned through the years of working together that we are not strong in the same things and we're not weak in the same things, but together we're extremely like it's like powerhouse. And then you add Cassie in there too as like a third piece of that puzzle. And it's like we're three experts, but we don't have the same skill sets, which is incredible because if all of us were trying to do be the best at the same things, that would be a complete disaster. Like I'm totally cool that I'm not strong in certain things. I don't want to do those things. They're not fun for me. Like I have no ego behind that. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I suck at that. Why would I do that? Like how much sense does that make? But it's like these owners become the complete bottleneck of their business.
Well, and I think it's just an awareness that they have to work through. If they really want to get their
Totally.
company to a certain level, they're going to have to release control to trusted people. And I think maybe that's the hard part is there is a lot of people in business out there and we've seen a lot of them that are not trustworthy. They go, "Oh yeah, I can do this, I can do that. It's only $7,000 a month on a retainer and it will be XYZ." It's like you don't know how to do that. We were on a meeting with a guy one time and he was showing us examples of someone else's work.
Like
And
content. And I go, great. Did you create this
Brittany
content and
said, yeah, she
grow that
questioned it. She's
account?
like,
Oh, well,
"Well,
no.
did you do that?" No. It's like, "Well, I don't want to see anything you haven't done."
Yeah, I go,
You know
why
what I
the fuck
mean?
would you show that to me if that's not your work? Could you imagine if I took a company as an example and I was like, well, and they grew from
Well,
400,000 a year to 3 million a year in 1 year with these strategies. Oh, Brittany, did you do that? Well, no, but I can, but I've never done it. Like, how stupid is that?
yeah.
Like, that's insane. And I'm like, am I an asshole? Am I the only person seeing this? Like who would present something like that? But people do. And then people go, oh, great. Yeah, that looks great. That looks great. It's like, well, they didn't even do that.
But then they're frustrated in 2 months when the results aren't there and they're mad at this person. It's like they should be disappointed in themselves because they hired someone who doesn't know what the hell they're doing.
Exactly.
Right? So
Exactly.
it is a little bit tricky, but as an owner, you have to release control somewhat to an expert. And then I would
Yeah.
monitor them. Not, you can't stifle them. You can't like make sure, because we've seen that too. Like,
Oh
okay, I'm going to hire
God.
this person, just like Brittany said in that proposal
Brittany,
we
we
had
want
the other
a
day.
performance review. Fuck off. I don't do performance reviews.
Yeah, or
Is there more
Kate.
money in your bank account? There's my performance
Yeah,
review.
exactly. Or we're going to need metrics and KPIs and all this stuff. It's like, well, then you should hire somebody that does that. But in the meantime,
Hmm.
we're going to be growing businesses.
I
Okay,
ain't
we're
your
going to have
gal,
more money in
Jack.
your checking account this month compared to last,
Yeah.
including our fee that comes out of it. Like this is what we've seen month after month after month working with our clients is it's like, well, it's the second or third of the month and we've already paid for ourselves and now we're just in growth mode.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I
Um,
think that's the challenge is you have to release control, but to an expert and then let them run. And then like
yeah.
we were talking about this with a client the other day is hire slow and fire fast,
Yeah.
right? If it's not going the way you want, I would definitely have a meeting and say, listen, I don't like the way this is going. We're going to have to turn this around or else you're gone and I'm
Yeah.
going to hire somebody else. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm going to give you a shot, run with it, but like get it together here.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So let's move on to our next talking point, which, from the same situation, which we're just using this as an example. This is never like I have no problem that somebody wants to run their own strategies and are like, hey, like it's okay. Like if we're not a fit, it's not like an attack mode because, they didn't hire us. I was actually like, hey, if this is what you want to do, this probably isn't a fit because I don't operate in that way. And that's what's so cool is they're running their business the way they want. I'm going to run my business the way I want. And so if those things don't align, we definitely shouldn't work together because it's going to be really frustrating. But one of the big key points, like I said, it's like the elephant in the room of the whole situation is if you knew what to do, then why haven't you done it yet? And this even made me think about back when I was growing my business in Optavia and I would talk to people who wanted to lose weight. And they would be like, well, but I do this and I drink this protein powder and I want to eat fruit and I want to do this and I want to do that. And it's like, well, how's that working for you? And most of the time they would laugh and go, well, I guess it's not. Exactly. So are you open to doing things a different way? And, this even as we're having this conversation where I'm like, man, I need to get better at like my assessment, like business assessment calls. Maybe that's what I should call them. I really like that business assessment calls because
Yeah,
I was
write
thinking of
that
health
down.
assessments. But maybe I need a business assessment. Take my free business assessment. I love that. Um, we're just ideating right live on the podcast. But it's like, okay, because I think we really have to be asked these questions sometimes. Like I said, with people with their health journey, like, are you open to trying something that maybe challenges your beliefs?
Hmm.
Because our beliefs, man, they are strong and they will hold us back because we, once again, on a subconscious ego level, want to be right. We want to be right. It's like our survival. And so we will just reinforce that belief over and over and over again. So what that could look like with that business, that Optavia business, is that somebody might buy the kit and then follow it for a day or two and go, oh no, it made me sick. Because literally they are not even open to allowing something different to work for them. So they have to prove, right? In business, it could be, I'm not doing that. I don't believe in that. I don't want to talk to people like that. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want this. Well, are you selling something? Like, then you got to be open to selling. And I get what people say, by being salesy, or I don't want to just hit my database all the time. Okay, well, guess what? The people making a lot of money are hitting the list. Why that I love Grant Cardone was like, why the F do you have a list if we're not going to hit the list? It's like, okay, he's exactly right. And guess who makes a shit ton of money? Grant Cardone. He makes a ton of money. He's not worried about people unsubscribing from his emails and being annoyed with him being in their inbox all the time. Like, what a silly, stupid thing to let hold you back. But, so I think that the uncomfortable thing to really embrace there is that people think that they know what to do, but your results will always tell the story. So in this specific situation, the results were you're not making any money. Like, and that's not emotional. People make that so emotional all day long because it feels like attack. But if we're just looking at straight up data, you're not making any money. But you think you know the best way. Here, back to the health thing. You're fat. Or not even fat, because that's like an elusive idea, right? You're 30 pounds overweight. So do you know what to do? Because knowing what to do and not doing it, I think is almost worse than not knowing what to do. If you're like, I've tried, I'm 30 pounds overweight, I don't know, I need help. I'd work with that person all freaking day long. I'd work with somebody all day long that's like, hey, I'm not making any money. I've been working my ass off and trying, and I'm so frustrated that I am ready to change. And it's like, all right, I'll work with that person all day long. That's like, I need help. But right, I think I'm curious too. You know, like you said, is there money in your bank account? So like the results are always the scoreboard, right?
Hmm. Yeah, give up a little bit of control. So the owner has to have the end goal in mind.
The
Okay.
vision.
The vision, right? The owner has the vision. Where do I want to end up? This is what I want this company to be. And then as far as the how goes, I would be a little bit open to trying some different things. If you're stuck at a certain level, if you want to get here, if you want to get to a level 10 and you're at a level 6 and you can't get past 6, you're going to have to be open to something different that you might not know, and that's okay. It's a
Yeah.
strength to say, I don't know what to do. I'm going to give up control on this to this person because they say they do. And then if they could take you to a level 7 or a level 8, how would that not be beneficial if you're not involved in 100% of every single thing they're doing? Like, this is what you're
Well,
trying to do. You're trying to get to 10. And if they could take you to 7 or 8, maybe they're not the person to take you to 9 or 10, but you have to find somebody else. That's fine too. You're trying to
yeah.
get to 10. Be open to all the ways to get to level 10.
The only way that it wouldn't be beneficial is if you were only interested in preserving your ego and being the one who created the results, right? That's the only way it wouldn't be beneficial. If you're more interested in being the superstar, or if you're more interested in like actually getting the result, right? So, but like Ryan said, if you only know how to get to a level 6, but you're like, nope, because it's all about me and I'm doing it and I'm the one, or if you're like, you know what, I have done a damn good job getting to level 6. I want to go to level 8 and I don't know how to get there. These people know how to get there. And what I always say too, we cannot do all the work. We're not responsible for the actual sales, but we're responsible for the strategy and how to go get it and that whole system. But we have to pair with entrepreneurs who are hungry and they're going to go out and get it. Because so that's how this works together really beautifully. But if this person's not hungry, or if they are hungry, but they're just like, nope, nope, it's all about me. But if you have somebody who's super hungry with a healthy ego and then they're ready to work with an expert, that is how you go make millions of dollars. And the results, right? That's where the results come from.
Hmm.
So results are always a scoreboard.
Hmm.
And that's really hard for people to look at. But if your results are not what you want them to be, the first thing you need to look at is yourself. Do you have such a need? Are you trying to control everything? Or are you bouncing all over the place? Like there's lots of things you can be doing that are like hurting your results, but it always comes back to us. And I would say this too. Ryan and I were talking about this. It's the same in our business. It's the same in the revenue agency. We are responsible for the results we are getting. At the end of the day, it always falls to the owner. That whether you have people under you that are helping you or it's just you, like you're responsible for the growth. So you're responsible finding the experts, saying, no, I just want to stay this right here and staying there. Like you're responsible for that decision. You're responsible for like derailing things because of the way you are. Like you're responsible for everything at the end of the day.
Well, and I think that's what's so great about being an entrepreneur. If you um, love to be the person that it all falls on, because some people don't. Some people just want to have a good job or a steady job or a great job, and it's like, well, let me ask my boss about that. Well, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But for the entrepreneur, you like it when it all falls on you, and that's what's so great about it. Is we were talking to a friend the other day. Brittany was talking to a friend the other day, and she's like, I'm good with where I'm at. I could grow and push and work way harder, but she's like, I don't want to do that. I like working 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, and it's enough. And I'm totally fine with it. Great.
Yeah.
Where some people are like, I want to make $50 million this year. You
Yeah.
can do it, but chances are you can't do it on your own. Like
Yeah.
if you want to work
100%.
4 hours a day, 4 days a week, you could probably do that on your own. And that's great. That's totally fine. But if you have
Yeah.
these big goals, big dreams, you're going to need people to help you along the way. And you're going to have to release control. We used to have
Yeah.
a friend that would say, like, you can't. you can't hold it like this, right? And I'm for our listeners that aren't watching, I have these clenched fists. It has to be like open hands, but you have to be holding on to it. It's like you have to be able to release some things.
Yeah. It's like you don't want to just be so open-handed that it's like, oh, it could just slip through your fingers, but you don't want to be holding on to things so tight that it can't even move or grow. Um, this is so good. I want to switch to our kind of final talking point here. And if you're having some realizations today as an owner, founder, an entrepreneur, and you're like, wow, yeah, I've really felt the need to control. And it's okay because I like to be in control of a lot of things too, because I like to know what to expect. It's probably more for from my need of like safety. Yes,
I would
Ryan.
say it is okay. And it's very, very common as an owner, as an entrepreneur, because this is probably why you're here, because you want to be in control of everything. Like
Yeah.
you control your hours, your time off, how much you work, how much money you make, how much you spend. You get to control all of it. And so it would be normal for you to hire someone and then tell them also what to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry. Our son
You got
just came in and ripped my phone out of my computer.
That's interesting.
Um, real life. I'm just waiting for a dog to bark. But going back to what I was saying about the shift from if you're like, hey, I see myself in what you're describing. I would like to change. I'd like to pivot. And the thing is you can either need to be right and need to have control, or you can want to win. And I love sports analogies. And if you think about, all the like team sports, obviously there's individual sports, but even individual sports, they tally up for the team winning, like track and field. Like there's individuals competing in the different, races and things like that, but they get points scored for like the team who wins. Like you might win the race, but your team might lose the meet, right? So thinking about like a basketball team, one great player on the team does not win the game. Like you got to have all like the whole team together wanting like really working together. Like I love Michael Jordan. And but think about like Scottie Pippen was also an incredible player. Dennis Rodman was an incredible player. But Scottie Pippen, like I think, led for assists, right? And he scored a lot of his own baskets too. But like they worked together so well that it was this machine. And Dennis Rodman on defense was incredible, and would rebound the ball like a freaking maniac and get it up the court to those guys. And they had, and I, think about two other players. There was a lot of them that probably rotated in and out, but they had this core thing that was working together. But if one person just wanted to be the star of the show and have it be all about them and they're a star, they probably would have won much less, right? So you can either really want to be right and be like the superstar all on your own, or you can want to win with a team. And I think that when we're talking about growing a business to a certain level, like, Ryan talked about a friend of mine that was like, I love it. Like, and it's perfect. She's created a business around what she truly desires. And she's a single operator and she's making great money. And she's like, I'm really happy. Like, it's like perfect. But if you're like, I'm in the six-figure range and I want to scale to over $1 million, which is really what we specialize in, you can't really do it by yourself. You gotta have a team. And so, what it really requires is having a level of humility and allowing yourself to trust other people. Now, this doesn't mean that every person you hire is going to be trustworthy. But like Ryan said, sometimes you get people in the door and you're like, oh, this isn't going to work, and you got to fire them, right? So it doesn't mean that everything works perfectly, because we're all on this journey of growth. But really learning to trust people with certain things. And it also, I want to put a disclaimer in here, it doesn't mean just like blindly trust people. Like that's not what we're trying to do. But once somebody's earned your trust, it's like, okay, I can release a little bit. And if you feel like you're still holding on really tight, that's where you have room for growth. And you got to look at yourself and go, why do I feel the need to just hold on so tight? What am I afraid of? And then letting people work in their zones of genius. Like I said, Ryan and I do not have the same zone of genius. And I have no problem with him shining in what he does, and he has no problem with me, shining in what I'm great at. But it's the same in companies when you bring people in. It's like, let them really work in their zone of genius. Be curious about what that zone of genius is. Don't decide for them, but really like have that conversation with them. There's lots of tests and stuff you can take about this too, which is really cool. And I want to say we've seen people do this. We've actually in the past, not anybody we were working with now, but we've seen it where somebody did really allow us to work in our zone of genius and really trust us. But then it was like it was almost too much, like things were going too well, and he completely self-sabotaged and just like lost and tried to take all that control back. And you know what happened? The company probably cut in half because the people who were like us that were thriving and doing great and creating great results, then when the reins get pulled back on you and you're like, what? Like, does the last like year of what we've done here have no like bearing? And we were like, we're out because you can't do that to people. You can't treat people like that. So we were like, we're gone. And then before you know it, the next person was like, we're gone, we're gone. And then there's this mass exodus out of a company, and people are going, what the hell's going on? And the company massively slid backwards because of really shitty leadership. And I think ego. I think that was that whole situation. That was all ego, all over that. So,
I
Rye,
think
I'm
it's
here. Yeah.
I think it's good to remember because a large portion of the population are S personalities, which are security, like family oriented, like our people. We want to keep them close, relationship, people first. Just because someone isn't, and we worked with a lot of people and we've let a lot of people go and seen a lot of people go through the years, just because it isn't a fit for the situation you're working in. Like, let's say we hired a bookkeeper, right? And it doesn't work for what we need. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean the relationship has to end poorly. It just means that this relationship isn't working the way we want it to. We love you, but we're gonna. It's time to go separate ways. And we wish you all the best, but we're going to find somebody
Yeah.
that works with us for what we need specifically. So I think that's good to remember that it doesn't mean it's like the end of a relationship or like, oh, this ends
Yeah.
badly or they screwed me or, to get into
Yeah.
all
We
that
see that a
drama. It's
lot.
just like, hey, this doesn't work for exactly what we want. We wish you all the best. But it's over.
Yeah. And that's probably a whole nother podcast. But I think that's an ego thing too, is because the ego throws a fit. Like we've left companies. And what's so crazy to me is that when you're working in a company, somebody just thinks you're the best thing ever, this and that. Then you leave, and all of a sudden you're like treated like you're a convict. Like when we left Apex, we couldn't even, they wouldn't even allow us in the building to get our stuff. It was like, what, like, what? Am I all of a sudden a criminal because I gave you my 2 weeks notice? Like, this is bizarre. It's like, what do you think I'm going to do? It's just so crazy. And so, yeah, like if people aren't a fit, I think always preserving the relationship is like a really good idea. But a lot of people, their egos just can't handle it. Nobody likes to be broken up with, right? But Ryan, I'd like to just kind of wrap this up. Like, give a couple things. Like, we've seen also a lot of like really high level operators, and just kind of like give a little insight into somebody who really runs at a high level, who is doing everything that we're talking about. Really, like, how do they think? If somebody's
Um,
like, I want to really become a high level person, I want to grow, I don't want my ego running the show, like, what would you say?
well, I think so. As far as an owner goes, I think personal development is key. Like you have to be working on yourself personally all the time because we all have room for growth, right? So I think that is key. Two, I think being open to not knowing everything is humongous, right? Because I'm sure with the level of success that you have, you are an expert in one or two things, maybe three things. You for sure are an expert in a couple things, but you are definitely not an expert in everything. No one can be.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be another thing. Knowing how to hire somebody that you trust as much as you can in the hiring process. I think that's very important. Is hiring somebody, giving them enough rope to where they can really implement what they're trying to do, but keeping an eye on it as far as like, okay, I'm going to let them do their thing. But if this doesn't go the way we want it, the way I want it to as the owner, then we're going to need to figure this out and like, but give them enough space to where they can do it on their own, right?
Yeah.
This is after, like I said, hiring. I should have said this. This is after you've, I don't want to call it a background check, but like check their sources, right? Like make sure it's a person that's done what you want to do, or if it's somebody who's young and very hungry, we're also not opposed to that. Like like finding somebody who's young and hungry and they just have this drive because young people want to, learn and grow so much. Like we're not opposed to that either, but like, you got to stick with them.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think that's probably it. Just like be open to not knowing everything, right?
Yeah.
If you've ever everybody has Netflix, and if you haven't watched Drive to Survive, it's about the Formula One series.
Mm.
It's amazing because we love watching these. There's these team principles. There's 10 teams now. There's 11, but there's 10 teams, but they all have what's called a team principal, and that's basically the boss, right?
Like the
It's
CEO. Yeah.
yeah, it's a race car team, and so you think about it, they have drivers, they have reserve drivers, they have mechanics, they have engineers, they have aerodynamic, everything you can think of. I think on average they probably have about 1,000 employees just in the race division.
Wow.
And so just think about that. The person at the top, the team principal, is managing everything, but they can't look at this guy and say, "How come you're putting that much air pressure in the tires?" Or "How come the gear ratio is this?" But like whatever it is, right? They have to know that they have the best person for that job, and they have to let them either succeed or fail, and then base and judge them based on their results that they got. It's the same
Hmm.
thing that you're doing with your social media person, with your email copywriter, with your sales team, with your setter, like whoever it is. You have to let them run with what they know how to do and then judge them based on their results.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. So good. Yeah. Could you imagine if the team principal was like you said, like, why are you putting that much air pressure in her? Or why are you doing that? Like to a mechanic, the mechanic would be like, what the fuck? Are you like talking to
Like
me?
who like who are you?
Like you hired me because I'm excellent at what I do. Like, don't question me, you
Yeah,
know?
the micromanager will never succeed at a very high level.
No, because
I,
A players will leave you all day long too.
yeah, because you would never have an A player. This has happened to me before. I've had a good working relationship and then this micromanagement, and it's like, hey, listen, I could be amazing at what you need me to, but because you're on my ass all the time, I am out of here. Like
Yeah.
F this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Totally.
need to be
Like,
checked up
not.
on every 2 seconds. I don't need a camera in my bookshelf right here. Like, and Brittany's looking over me like, did you send that email? Did you, you know what I mean? Like, you can't micromanage. You got to let them run and then judge them based on their results. I really think, I really think results are the ultimate answer. Now, obviously, we're not talking anything immoral or illegal or anything like that. Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy town. But judge them based on the results, but let them get their own results, and then you'll be able to judge them honestly.
Yeah, I love that. So just like a final question to kind of like leave our listeners with is, do you want to be right or do you want to make more money? Because you can't have it both ways, you know. So, awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening to us on a podcast app. We appreciate you tuning in, download, subscribe, and thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.